Okay, this is lesson 710, multiplying and dividing fractions. This is for 5th grade math, page 262. This is a review of what we worked on earlier in this chapter. So why don't I just jump in and I'll give you an example of exactly how we want to break down each. Let's take a look at number 1. Tony made a painting that's 3/4 feet wide. He wants to make a new painting that is half as wide. What will be the width of the new painting? I'll just meet you halfway on this. This may have been the toughest one to decipher because they're not asking for the area of a painting, which would give it away, because we know area is length times width. In this case, they want to know of something, and we found out, maybe even in volume 1 of this book, that when we're talking about finding the of something, it's the same as like multiplying the two fractions here. So this number model is actually going to be 3/4 times 1/2. And I'm going to use, I think they tell us to use an unknown. I'm sorry, I should have read that to you. But they don't want the answer here. We'll just use, they want to know the width, so I'll use a W. So number 1 is going to be a multiplication problem. And as you may recall, multiplying fractions is just multiplying across. Okay, my hint to you is out of these first 4, there's going to be one more multiplication problem, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is. That's going to be your challenge to decipher. I want to talk more about number 2, which is Rachel. Rachel is decorating a card with stickers. Each sticker is 1/4 of an inch across. How many stickers can Rachel fit along the 5-inch edge of the card? So she's got a card that's like 5 inches across. It's probably gonna be similar to like this book here. And basically the stickers are going to be probably even smaller than my pinky. And the question is going to be, out of these 5 inches, how many stickers could she actually fit? So you need to look and identify what number is she starting with. And Rachel is starting with a 5-inch card. And the question is, what are we doing? Are we multiplying or dividing? And the truth is, we want to basically take those 5 inches and divide them into 1/4 inch increments, into 1/4 of an inch. We want to see how many 1/4 inch stickers can fit into 5. So it's kind of like saying, well, I'm not going to think of a hypothetical example because I'm really bad at thinking on my feet, I guess. So why don't we just stick with what we actually have, which is 5 divided by 1/4. I really had no idea where I was going to go with that. But here's what I want to tell you. There's a couple ways to do this division problem. I'm going to throw you back to lesson, I think it was 7.4. I was going to say 7.3. But 7.4 gave us a pretty, two-step process, pretty easy two-step process to solve problems where you're taking a whole number and dividing by a fraction. And the first step was to rename the dividend and divisor as fractions with a common denominator. So in this case, with our whole number, you'll notice they turned the whole number into a fraction by taking him and multiplying by the denominator. So they got 3 times 2 equals 6/2. So why don't we just do the same thing, and then they end up with 6/2 divided by half, and it says part 2 is just divide the numerators. So they turned the 3 into a fraction, and they got 6/2 divided by 1/2, and then they said just divide the numerators, which is 6 divided by 1, and that gave you your answer. So let's go and take those 2 steps and put them into action. We're dealing with 5 divided by 1/4, so let's turn him into a fraction. Let's turn the 5 into a fraction. 5 is basically 5 wholes in this case, 5 whole inches. And since we're dealing with 1/4 of an inch, to find out how many fourths that would be, we're going to take just 5 whole groups of 4. So that's be 5 groups of 4. And that would equal 5 times 4 equals 20 fourths. So now instead of 5 divided by 1/4, we have 20/4 divided by 1/4. And again, I'm not sure if that makes sense or it comes through, but really every time you have a whole number, they're just saying that's like, oh, that's one whole group of 4. And if you have 2, then it's 2 whole groups of 4. In this case, it's 5 whole groups of 4, which would be 20/4. So 20/4 divided by 1/4, we just did part 1, which was we turned everything into fractions with common denominators. And part 2 was just dividing the numerators. That's it. So remember, denominators down below, numerators right up top. So all you need to worry about are going to be these two numbers. What is 20 divided by 1? Or how many times can 1 fit into 20? And we know anytime you take a number and divide them by 1, the answer is going to be the original number. You can fit 1 into 20 times. So how many stickers could Rachel fit along the edge of the card? She could technically squeeze in 20 stickers without overlap. Okay, so for numbers 3 and 4, I'm going to let you guys see if you can decipher and figure out whether those are multiplication problems or division. And then at the bottom, you have a lot of fun. You get to actually make the number story yourself. So use numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 as what I would call templates. Basically, like you can use them as an outline. Change the names. Think of a different scenario, but you can set them up in a similar fashion. For instance, number 5, maybe find a problem up here that might have to do with fractions times fractions, and just swap some things out. Okay, anything else? Leave a comment, send me an email, whatever you need to do. Reach out to me on Dojo. Otherwise, I will see you in 7-11, the lesson, not the delightful, what do you call it? Gas station, quick stop, not that 7-Eleven. Do those still exist? I don't know. I think they do. Anyway, I'll see you for the next lesson.